Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the March 12th meeting for the State Transportation Commission. My name is Heath Salisbury. I'm the chair of the commission. I'd like to welcome new commissioners John Pacheco and Glenn Bukowski. Our first agenda item is the director's report. Gregg Brunner will be presenting that on behalf of the department. Greg?
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you, commissioners. I'm here today to give the director's report. Unfortunately, the director couldn't be here, so you have to settle for me, so good luck. So for today, I'm going to talk about a few things. First, our 2025 accomplishments, what we were able to accomplish from a construction standpoint last year. Next, transportation funding, kind of what's gone on with the recent funding package for fiscal year 2026, some of the policy updates we're working on through STC, executive budget recommendation from the governor for fiscal year 27, so kind of looking forward, some of the safety initiatives we have going, and then a few personnel changes within the department as well. So I know in the department, a lot of things we don't do is kind of take a step back and look at what we've been able to accomplish over the last year or two. So it's good to kind of pat ourselves on the back for a job well done on some things. And again, this comes in working with a lot of our consulting partners, construction industry and others. But last year as a whole for the state of Michigan, MDOT was able to deliver a $2.3 billion construction program, which really improved about 1,800 lane miles, 182 bridges. So we were able to make a big impact on transportation throughout the state. Another big one was almost a $500 million maintenance budget for the state. We'll see how that goes this year with the winter we've been having. I know it's been nice the last few days, but it looks like more snow's on the way. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that one going forward. But again, it's always good to look back to see what we've been able to do. Moving on to fiscal year 26, so this is the budget we have going for this year, and as many people heard, there's a little bit of a bump going from fiscal year 25 to 26. So as you can see overall for our Michigan's transportation budget, and this includes the counties, cities, municipalities, as well as MDOT, 2025 we were at about $6.5 billion overall budget, and again with some of the changes that happened for the transportation funding package, that went up to $7.8 billion for 2026. And next, I'm going to kind of run through some of those legislative changes on where that $1.4 billion came from. So some of the key changes we saw over the last year with this new funding package were the motor fuel tax. That actually increased from about 31 cents to 51 cents, so a 20% jump there. That was effective on January 1st. So some of these changes started on October 1st with the start of the fiscal year, and some started on January 1st, the start of the calendar year. So the change in motor fuel tax from 30 to 50, that was at beginning of the calendar year. The next big thing was the income tax. Back in 2015, there was a $600 million earmark that moved personal income tax from the general fund into transportation. With this change on October 1st, that actually moved back to the general fund, so that $600 million is no longer coming to transportation. There are changes to the corporate income tax, and again, those dollars go into what's called the Neighborhood Roads Fund. I'll go into a little more detail on how that works on the next couple slides here, but overall, that'll be about $688 million a year. For this year, that increases $88 million every year to 2031. Wholesale excise tax, that's on marijuana tax, that came to about $420 million a year. I'm spent on the marijuana 420 jokes, so I don't know how they came to that number, but $420 million it is. The last one was the general sales tax change too. So what happened is this removed the sales tax that was previously on gas. So that 6% sales tax that was on gas now that would go to the general fund. So what happened in motor fuel tax overall is you can see that 20% bump I talked about on the first bullet here. That kind of accounts for that 6% sales tax. So again, you figure right now gas is about $3.50, so that's about 20 cents. So looking at the pump, really residents really didn't see any changes at all in fuel tax as a result of this. It just kind of changed where the dollars were going looking forward. But as of right now with these changes, all taxes you pay at the pump go to transportation. So it cleans up that portion compared to what a lot of other states do. All right, so what do all these changes mean to us? So some of these are kind of going to be partial year impacts because, as I said, a lot of those started on January 1st, 26. So These come from House Fiscal Analyst Bill Hamilton, provided some of these numbers in a report that he did in terms of the impacts of these changes looking forward. So with that motor fuel tax that I talked about, that 30 to 50 cent jump, that'll be about $715 million a year going forward. 2% of that goes to the Recreation Improvement Fund, 10% goes to the Comprehensive Transportation Fund. So that 715 down about $80 million there would be about $630 million. There was that income tax redistribution I talked about, the negative, where that goes away. So overall, when you add all these up, the net, there's about $33 million going to transportation as a result of these changes in the fuel taxes going forward. That goes through the normal process. Locals would receive about $20 million of that. MDOT would receive about $13 million there. So next would be the Neighborhood Roads Fund. So again, that's that separate fund that was added, which adds in corporate income tax as well as the marijuana tax. That started also in January 1st. So some of these estimates are going to be about 75% of the year when you figure that first quarter isn't included. So we're looking at about $1 billion for that this year. A corporate income tax is taxed at $688 million, and marijuana tax, that 75% of 420 is down to about $312 million a year. Then these kind of flow through waterfalls to fill up certain buckets before they actually get distributed to the states, counties, municipalities. So off the top, what happens is the first $100 million that goes into the Neighborhood Roads Fund, that goes to the Local Bridge Advisory Board to address critical bridges on local roadways. So once that bucket gets filled with that $100 million, the next $40 million goes to Local Rail Grade Separation Fund, which looks at new grade separations on local roads around the state. This is a grant program that we're still in the works, kind of putting together how those are going to be distributed. And the next $100 million then goes to public transportation. So again, there's kind of cascading waterfall of buckets that have to fill up here. So once all those buckets get filled up, that leaves about $760 million that go to road programs. And the distribution there is it's 80% goes to the locals, 20% goes to MDOT. So for MDOT, we're at about $152 million a year through this Neighborhood Roads Fund. These are partial year estimates. The next slide kind of runs through the same thing, looking at full year estimates. So again, total transportation impacts for 12 months on this is about $1.4 billion. All right, on to policy updates. For those of you that have been at previous STC meetings, one of the big things we were looking at is all the STC policies that we had in place. Former Chair Hayes wanted us to kind of go through and update a lot of those. So what we've been able to do is updated 17 of the STC policies at previous meetings up till now. That's us working with the State Transportation Commission, MDOT, and the Office of Commission Audit to kind of make sure all those are up to date, accurate going forward. There's still 2 more that we're working on. Aesthetics and context-sensitive solutions, those kind of kicked off in January. We hope to have those done by June of this year. And then we're looking at uniform criteria for major streets. That was something that was requested by the locals, really looking at safety on local roads as well as parking and some other things. So those are the ones that are in the works right now, with more to come later this year. All right, so I've talked a lot about kind of the 25 budget, 26 budget, and now looking forward, I'm going to talk a little bit about the governor's recommended budget. So looking forward, this is a large piece of pie kind of in terms of where the governor's recommended budget would go. That's about $8.5 billion. As you can see, that's up about $800 million from where we're at in 26. And the majority of that is just kind of that full implementation of the transportation road package. There's a few other smaller FRA, federal dollars coming in, a couple other things there, but the majority of that change is from that full implementation of the new funding package. This breaks it down a little bit more in terms of where the dollars are going, but when you start looking at this budget itself, about 80% of the budget goes to the road and bridge program overall. And again, these dollars is $8.5 billion. That's for state and local roadways overall. And the next one, talking again about the Neighborhood Roads Fund, you can kind of see where we're at on the left side of this graph. I talked about these on the previous slide. But what happens in 2031 and beyond, that distribution changes just a little bit. So you can see kind of how the lines compare looking forward. So again, the local critical bridge repair program, that one kind of goes away in 2031. $10 million to the local grade separation program, $70 million to public transportation, $100 million split between county, city, state, and then the remaining split, of course, is shown on here. So for MDOT, it's a little bit of a bump in 2031 in terms of all these funds going forward. For those of you that know me, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about safety. So one of the things we've been monitoring closely is traffic fatalities in terms of what we do. This is a chart we put together that looks at kind of overall roadway fatalities and how do we move to 0 deaths on our roads. It's not totally complete for last year yet. We're still waiting on some data to come in, but for the most part, it's pretty close. And what we did here is look at kind of major types of fatal crashes on the roadway, and are we making improvements with them or not? If something's important, you measure it, and if you measure it, then you make it important. So in looking at these, every time I talk, I try to pull off one of these stats on here. I think today I'm going to talk about seatbelt use. So you can see, as in Michigan, we lose over 1,000 people every year to fatal traffic crashes that are out there. But looking at the numbers on here, you can see there's quite a bit of green, so we're doing better and making improvements and getting these closer to 0, but we're not there yet. But when you look at seatbelt use, almost a third of traffic crashes where people die, they don't have a seatbelt on. So my one recommendation for everybody here today is please wear your seatbelt all the time, every trip. So help us move that number to 0. The other big change at MDOT is we've had a few personnel changes. For those of you who remember Laura Mester, who'd come to these meetings quite a bit, she retired earlier this year in January. We were able to backfill her position with Paul McDonald as our Chief Administrative Officer. Paul came to us from Eagle, where he was the financial division director for over 10 years. He's from Michigan State. He's been off to a fantastic start, getting up to speed. So much so that he's on vacation this week, so he couldn't be here today. So hopefully at the next meeting he'll be here and you can meet him, but he's doing great. A couple other staff updates. Our commission advisor is Amy Matisoff. Amy's out in the crowd. Commission deputy advisor, Mike Frizzell. Commission auditor, Jack Cotter from Office of Commission Audit. He's not here today. And commission administrative support, Ashley Huska and Austin Hubert. So with that, thanks to all of our new staff at MDOT. And with that, I can take any questions. Sure. Glenn?
Thank you, Greg, for the explanation of the funding stream. I have a question. I recall that the marijuana industry was pushing back on the excise tax. What's the status? In fact, they filed a lawsuit, did they? What's the status of that?
They filed a lawsuit, and last we knew that it was on hold or denied, so it's not moving forward right now. Yep.
Any more questions?
For the context-sensitive solutions policy, who's working that, and when do we expect it to come forward? There's been a lot of changes, especially in federal guidance about context-sensitive solutions, and so it is timely to have it updated.
Yep. And there are some things going on with MDOT right now tied to our strategic plan, where we're actually calling it kind of the 5 keys to success within MDOT. So there's 5 different things we're looking at. One of them is actually multimodal improvements and how we can kind of balance those together. So as we're working through that implementation, we want to be able to incorporate that strategic plan into what's going on with this commission policy to make sure we're in alignment there. Again, it's something very important to all of us that we take into account when we're doing things. We just want to make sure that our strategic plan and the SEC policy are in alignment going forward. So that's something that's being worked on internal, and we'll keep you guys in the loop as we work through that process.
Anybody else? Thank you, Greg.
Yep, thank
Wonderful
you.
job. It's nice to see that those numbers are going down on the fatalities. Next, we're going to take a roll call with Michael. We got a little bit out of sequence here. Go ahead, Michael.
Chair Salisbury.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
Commissioner Schultz.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Here.
Commissioner Paracchio.
Here.
Chair, you have 6 members present. You have a quorum.
And I'll remind everybody to please use the microphones for everybody in the audience. All right, upon review of the November 6th Commissioner meeting minutes. Are there any questions on those minutes? Okay. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. Thank you. All right, we're going to move to the Transportation Asset Management Council appointments. Michael, can you present those appointments, those nominees?
Yes, I certainly can do that. We have one nominee for the Transportation Asset Management Council. It is Brian Gutowski. He is representing the Michigan Association of Counties. He's currently a commissioner with Emmett County. His term will start April 1st, 2026, and it is a 3-year term and will end on March 31st, 2029.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? Okay. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve Brian Gutkowski to the Transportation Asset Management Council.
So moved.
So moved and
Second.
second. Thank you. All those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? All right, passed. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Patrick McCarthy regarding the 4th bond resolution amendment. Patrick, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before the Commission today is a resolution to amend the Rebuilding Michigan bond authorization. It's not a request to authorize additional principal or extend the resolution, but rather to update the project list and final project budgets to utilize the entire proceeds from the issuance of the bonds, which includes the principal, the premium, and the interest earned on the cash. Do you have any questions on the resolution?
Anybody any questions? I don't believe so. All right. If there's no further questions, I entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, what's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to take a roll call, right? Okay. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay. A second.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and supported. And then, Michael, we're going to take a roll call on that for a vote.
For the adoption of the resolution, Chair Salisbury,
Support.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Support.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Paracchio.
Approve.
Chair, you have 6 votes yes, the resolution passes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to the County Road Association nomination of statewide local bridge advisory board. Michael, can you please present the nominee?
Yeah, the nominee for the Local Bridge Advisory Board is Dan Armentrout. He's going to represent the County Road Association. He's currently employed with the Saginaw County Road Commission. He's the Director of Engineering and Deputy Managing Director. He is going to replace another board member who had left the board. So this appointment, although it's a 2-year term, will commence April 1st, 2026 and finish next year on March 31st, 2027, which brings it in line with a lot of the other board members on there. We do have Denise Donahue from the County Road Association, if anybody wants to hear a comment from her.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Denise? Okay. And nobody has any questions about the appointment for Dan? For hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the CRA nomination of Dan Ehrmantraut. I need a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, thank you for that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, that's passed, thank you. Okay, we have Patrick McCarthy, and he's going to present the bid letting summary. Thank you, Patrick, again.
Good morning again. The first document in your packet, which is on pages 21 through 58, and is titled the Quarterly Bid Letting Summary for the first quarter. It documents all items M.let for the first quarter of fiscal year 2026, which was October through December, In quarter one, M.let 136 projects. The second document in your packet on pages 60 through 62 is titled the Bid Letting Items for fiscal year 24 through 26, quarter one. And this documents the various trends in the bid letting process, including the number of projects let, the number of single bidders, and the number of all bids rejected, as well as payments made to contractors for fiscal year 24 through 26 for the first quarter. And then the third document in the packet that I'm presenting on pages 63 and 64 is titled the Michigan Department of Transportation Procurement Card Fiscal Year 26 Quarter 1. This documents the number of procurement card transactions and the total amount paid against procurement cards for the first quarter of 2026, as well as identifies procurement card transactions that are currently being monitored. Do you have any questions about these documents?
If nobody has any questions, I just want to make a comment. I looking at these graphs, and it was nice to see that the department has honed those overages on the bids and very well since in the last year or so. So that's been nice to see. I want to congratulate you guys on that. I know it was a lot of hard work, so thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next up, we have Dee Parker. Dee's going to present a summary for the real estate services update.
Good morning, Commissioners. I would like to draw your attention to pages 66 through page 110, titled the Quarterly Bid Justification Summary for the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. Within those pages, you will see our fiscal year, our 2026 fiscal year program graphing data, which goes back to October 25 through December 25. You will also see scattered graphs and charts showing where bids fell within the targeted range of plus or minus 10%. You will also see the justification, rejection reports, and the memos for the first quarter. Again, that's October 2025 through December of 2025 as well. Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding pages 66 through pages 110?
Any questions? Okay. All right, Dee, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Nice work.
Okay. Would you like me to go to the next one?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Sorry, you're up here, so you might as well do it. I apologize.
No problem. For your information, I would like to draw your attention to page 111, titled Commission Summary, Real Estate Services Section, Disposal of Real Property Interests. On that page we typically have a list of excess properties that are being sold. And in this report, you have one property that is being sold. Any comments or concerns or questions regarding that one parcel?
No questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Dee.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Jason Gutting presenting the finalized construction contracts report.
Good morning, Commission. I will go over the summary for Exhibit B. MDOT projects for October, November, and December 2025. 62 projects totaling approximately $254 million were finalized. 3 projects were more than 10% over the original contract amount, and 34 projects came in under the original contract amount. Final monthly costs were respectively negative 0.76, 0.53, and 0.55 compared to the original contract amount. Calendar year averaged 1.89% over the original contract amount, and that's a little higher than we've been running. The fiscal year to date we have right now, I think, is about 0.33, so we're hugging back down to near zero on those. My comment on the 1.89 is we've had a few more fixed price variable scopes let last year, and the way that we let those and the way we monitor overages, those will always be presented to the commission because they will probably always be over 10% of the original contract amount because we bid those with a priority. And then if that has very reasonable bidding, we will extend those priorities and do more work that we have already allocated program-wise. But it will always show that that project, if you look at just the numbers, it'll look like what happened, the project went way over. But that's the way it's designed to do based on favorable bidding from the contractor. So that feeds into that 1.89%. So I just wanted to provide that little commentary. Local agency projects for October, November, and December 25. 93 projects totaling, excuse me, approximately 113 million were finalized. 5 projects were more than 10% over the original contract value, and 56 projects of local agency control came in under the original contract amount. There are 5 projects, 5 MDOT projects, and 3 local agency projects as part of Exhibit B for this commission meeting. I can entertain any questions on Exhibit B.
Any questions for Jason? Okay. Thank you, Jason. Nice work.
Thank you.
All right, next, presentations, and for the March meeting, it doesn't look like we have any presentations. We're gonna move to public comment. Public comment's now open. Keep in mind the speakers have 3 minutes, so be aware of your time. Michael, can you introduce the public, if there's any public comments?
Yes, we have one public comment from Jack Hoffman. Jack, if you could, step up to the microphone there. Again, as a reminder, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Hoffman, I'm from the Rapid Board in Kent County, representing City of Grand Rapids. This is my take on the future of state and local funding for public transportation. The 2025-26 transportation budget subsidizes rural roads and the trucking industry at the expense of cities, the state, and public and personal transportation. Rural county road commissions receive $444 per capita in road funding versus $195 per capita in road funding for cities. Public transportation receives $27 per capita. MDOT calculates that it needs an additional $280 per capita just to keep state trunk lines in good repair. Trunk lines received an additional $18 per capita in the final budget. Heavy trucks cause 95% of pavement damage in the amount of $8 billion per year and pay only $600 million in state road taxes. On the other hand, cities far exceed low-density areas in terms of economic productivity and demographic health. Dense urban areas produce $90,000 per capita in gross domestic product versus $30,000 per capita for low-density counties. Likewise, where there is a healthy public transportation system, the higher the density, the more young people in the 25-34 age group. High urban densities are essential to economically and demographically successful cities, counties, regions, and the state itself. A healthy, dense urban community requires a healthy public transportation system. A plausible scenario for the future is that state trunk lines continue to deteriorate to the point where the trucking industry itself is willing to contribute a fair share just as a matter of economic survival. Then will be an opportunity to address fair share for dense urban areas as well. Until that time, dense urban communities can be supported by passing Representative Morgan's HB 4210, which restricts proceeds of the state's sales tax on transportation products to transportation purposes, similar to the way in which House Bills 4180 to 4183 recently restricted use of the proceeds of the sales tax on motor fuels to transportation purposes. HB 4210 would generate an additional $25 per capita for public transportation. In the meantime, the residents of the cities and counties of the West Michigan region and other regions of the state should continue to show their recognition of the importance of public transportation to the regional economy and culture. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'd
Jack.
be happy to answer any questions if there's time or.
Does anybody have any questions for Jack? Okay, thank you, Jack.
Chairman.
Do we have anybody else, Michael?
There's no further public comment.
Okay. So if we have no further public comments, I order that this meeting be adjourned.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I just have one quick item I'd like to alert the commission to and anybody who's here. You'll find that I like to celebrate good news and good things, and I'd like to commend Michigan DOT on receiving the 2026 Handshake Early Talent Award. It's a really cool thing that the State Department of Transportation has achieved in terms of attracting talent, retaining talent, and I just would love to have the minutes reflect my celebration of that award. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything? All right. If we don't have any more business, I move that this meeting be adjourned. All right.